Good morning and welcome back to the channel. We are at the absolutely stunning North Landing on Flamborough. So this isn't a million miles away from Bempton Cliffs, and I personally feel that if it's puffins that you're looking for, this is the premier location to go and look for them, and not Bempton Cliffs. I think at Bempton Cliffs the upper cliffs are dominated by the gannets, and any space that's available beyond where the gannets are is taken up by guillemot and razorbill. And so what you often find is that the puffin come to this location where there are no gannets, and there are definitely more opportunities for them to create their burrows, which we know puffins lay their egg in. So hopefully today we're going to go and have a bit of a mooch around North Landing. You can see by the fact that I'm wearing the old bins that the sun is shining, the light's extremely harsh, but we'll see what we can do. So come along for the journey and see what I see. Well, that was exquisite. We just had a beautiful sedge warbler give us a song that must have lasted probably the best part of 2 minutes. I definitely got some video, and I was relatively close to it, so it will certainly fill the screen as it's singing its song. The only thing I would say is there were people around me, so the song may be just slightly disturbed by people's voices. Nevertheless, absolutely beautiful to see, and a first little glimpse of the potential of North Landing. So, one of the things that's well worth a momentary stop when you come to North Landing is the view. So I'm going to turn the camera around, and I'm going to let the view do the talking, and you can just enjoy it. The temptation whenever you come to somewhere like this is to head where all the crowds are. So there's a big group of people, and I just turn the camera on, you can probably see them over my shoulder here, and I have no doubt that that's where there are puffins, and so that's where they've headed. What I will say though is sometimes it's well worth making your own little trips, looking for your own little locations. Everybody's going to go there. There's probably puffins there, but I've just come around the edge of the cliff now, and I'm just looking down, and I can see a raft of razorbills ahead of me. There's definitely razorbills on the cliff just down there, and there's possibly a good opportunity of finding a puffin or two. So definitely explore, and I always tend to, as a general rule, go the opposite direction of people, just because I quite like a little bit of peace and quiet and solitude while I'm looking for the birds. But there are times where you just need to head to where the masses are to get those opportunities, and we'll head that way now, because it appears that it's all razorbill here. I can't see any of the puffin whatsoever. How beautiful is it? How beautiful. I mean, just look at this. I've spoke to people at home this morning, and it's raining in Manchester, and yet we've got this beautiful sunshine. So one of the things when you come to Flamborough and to North Landing that's very, very different from Bempton is obviously really safe. You've got lovely wooden platforms with secure fencing all the way around. Different. You do have to kind of pick the places that you want to go. But just be mindful that although paths can look fairly secure, the East Riding coast of Great Britain is the fastest eroding coastline in the UK, and erodes at an average of 1 metre a year. So although this looks nice and secure, it's all made up of a really, really poorly consolidated material, and and it's very easily eroded. We've had lots and lots of rain, so even though this path looks nice and secure, the potential is there that if it's undercut, it could break away. So just be very mindful about that and where you go on North Landing. Jen, there's an egg there. It's been broken, it's been stolen, but I reckon that's a razorbill egg. Can you see? Can you see it? So we found our first puffin. He's sat on a ledge, and there's actually a nesting fulmar just to the left of him, and that fulmar was just telling him off, and I think that the puffin also gave a little telling off back. Now what's interesting, I think he's thinking about flying. No, he's roosting down. I think what's really interesting, and it's only when you see them like this, is you can, in the same shot here, I've got guillemot, razorbill and the puffin, all three auks, and you can see the difference in size. The puffin is significantly smaller. I would go as far as to say it's possibly 50% smaller than the guillemot. The guillemot's the biggest of the three. God, they're noisy. That's the kittiwakes you can hear that are calling out. So the guillemot's the largest of the three auks that we've got in this on this cliff face here. I found another puffin a little bit higher. The razorbill's the middle one, and another puffin's just landed just there. Oh. What I always find incredible when you come to places like this is, at first glimpse, it's just guillemot, razorbill and kittiwakes. And then only when you stop and you start to study the cliff face do you start to find the puffin. And what I'm looking for when I'm looking for puffin is I'm looking for their feet. The feet stand out over everything else. They're the only bird really that's on that cliff face that's got bright orangey red feet. And so if you look for the feet, they will jump out at you. The guillemot and the razorbill have got black feet, so if you look at an auk and you can see its feet and they're black, you know it's not a puffin. The puffin have got those very, very bright orangey red feet. And it's just a case really of getting your eye in. I've just found a second one, and this one sat just behind a kittiwake, and it's asleep. Oh, now that's beautiful. You've got the kittiwake sat on its nest, and then tucked in just behind it is a puffin, and that puffin is fast asleep. And then to its right you've got a razorbill. And it amazes me how they just seem to sneak into every little nook and cranny. So puffins actually, unlike the other auks, they nest in burrows. So they nest underground. So the other auks, the guillemot and the razorbill, will lay their eggs on the cliff, and then they roost them on the cliff. But the puffin don't. They're a burrowing auk, and so they dig out burrows underground, or they'll use old rabbit nests. Rabbit nests. They'll use old rabbit burrows, and they'll lay their eggs in there. Now they only have a single chick. They don't have more than one, and that single chick is called a pufflin. And if you are ever lucky enough to see a puffin out of the burrow, they look like you've photographed a puffin and you've presented it in mono, in black and white, because their bill is completely black, their feet are completely black, and they don't have that distinguished white face, that clown face. It's a bit more of a grey colour, and so there is a definite difference in their appearance, but they are absolutely stunning. And this puffin at the moment is just guarding the entrance to his burrow. You can see that just behind him. I've got no doubt if we stay here long enough, he might bob back in the burrow. But he's probably just keeping his eye out at the moment for any predators, anything that might go in the burrow. So I'm just sat on the ledge and I thought I saw one puffin, and then once I zoomed in and looked at the area, there was actually 5, and then another flew in on the that was a juvenile starling just flown right past us. I could have put my hand out and touched it. Oh, we've got a shag down on the water as well, Jen.
Oh yes, swimming around the fish.
So then once I zoomed in and looked at the puffin, there was actually 5, and then as I followed the area around them, there was another 2, so we've got 7 puffins in probably a metre radius on this cliff face. North Landing, definitely the place to see puffins. We've seen far more puffins here today than we did yesterday at Bempton Cliffs. So well worth your detour and well worth your time for coming and having a look. So how about that then? North Landing, Flamborough Head. What a stunning little place to come and visit. We've seen absolutely loads of puffin today. The thing I would say is you're always going to be up high looking down on the puffin unless you take a boat trip. So the other thing that I've not spoken about is our accommodation for this weekend. I've invested in a motorhome, ladies and gentlemen, fondly named Dinky Doo, because it is a very small motorhome. It's going to be my daily drive, so I'm going to drive to and from work in this. So this is how I'm going to be recording my photographic expeditions in the future. It gives us that little bit of freedom and allows us to go and explore, stay off grid in some places that we've struggled to do so in the past without renting motorhomes. So Dinky Doo is definitely going to feature as a staple part of the channel. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like and a subscribe. The subscription rate has been fantastic. We're well above 5,000 now. I'm hoping by the time this video comes to you that we're closer to that 6,000 mark. If you want to drop me a comment below, I respond to every single comment. And you know, if you've got some suggestions where me and Dinky Doo could go, some places that we could go and visit, that would be fantastic. We've got a buy me a coffee, link is at the bottom, and thank you to all those people who take the time and effort and spend their hard-earned cash generating to the channel. It makes a huge difference. And from the beautiful Flamborough Head, and until next time, ta-ra.